So good morning everyone. Today we will be discussing a very important topic. It's called Zenker's diverticulum and it has three other names, and we will be discussing it in detail throughout this entire video. So first of all we have Zenker's diverticulum. Its other two names are pharyngeal pouches and pharyngeal pouches and hypopharyngeal diverticulum. So once again the three main names are Zenker's diverticulum, pharyngeal pouches and hypopharyngeal diverticulum. Now what is a Zenker's diverticulum or a pharyngeal pouch? It is basically the herniation of the posterior pharyngeal wall through a gap or an anatomical area of weakness which is known as Killian's dehiscence. So we will start off by explaining to you that what exactly is Killian's dehiscence. So Killian's dehiscence is a space between thyrofringes and cricophrynges. So thyrofringes has its fibers which go like this, and cricophrynges has its fibers which are circular in shape. So this space which is not covered by these two muscles, and it is space is lying between them, it is known as Killian's dehiscence, and it is an area of anatomical weakness. These both thyrofringes and the cricophrynges, they make up the inferior constrictor. So moving forward, I will now explain to you that what are the signs and symptoms that are associated with a Zenker's diverticulum pharyngeal pouch. So there are many signs and symptoms. First of all, it usually occurs in 6th and 7th decade or in older people. And then it is more common in males than females. Then it also causes halitosis or bad breath, regurgitation of the food, and the most common symptom is dysphagia. But the most reliable symptom is usually the regurgitation. As well as the dysphagia, other symptoms can include weight loss and the food spilling over into the mediastinum, which can lead to mediastinitis. And also it can cause pneumonitis as well. So the mediastinitis, pneumonitis or lung abscesses, these are all caused due to aspiration of the food that may occur due to this. Another important sign symptom is social problems. These social problems, they occur because a patient takes much longer to take their meal when they have a pharyngeal pouch. So they feel difficulty in finishing their meals on time. So signs of this particular patient would be that the patient may feel a foreign body sensation or a feeling of lump in neck, and patient also complains of pooling of saliva. So there are two main investigations that we can do. The best investigation for this person is what we call as esophagogram. Otherwise it is also known as barium swallow. And another name for this is X-ray neck with contrast AP and lateral view if you are asked to explain in an exam. And then along with the esophagogram, we can go for endoscopy. So these two will confirm our diagnosis. Finally, in almost 1% of the cases, due to chronic irritation, due to chronic trauma being caused due to Zenkus diverticulum, it can lead to carcinoma in situ. So let me draw this for you. If this is the thyropharyngeus and this is the cricopharyngeus, so Zenkus diverticulum will be looking like an outpouching between the muscles. There are three main theories as to why this occurs. First theory is called lack of coordination. So according to this theory, the peristaltic wave is not generated in a proper manner, which causes extra pressure to build up at the level of cricopharyngeus, and that is what leads to the herniation of this particular pocket. Second, also called as spasm of cricopharyngeus. So this theory says that the cricopharyngeus muscle, it remains in a spasm, it is unable to relax even after a peristaltic wave has passed, and due to this increased pressure, this leads to pharyngeal pouch or Zenkus diverticulum. The final theory, it says that there may be a pharyngeal laxity in some people, or we can call it that they have an congenitally or anatomically a weak pharyngeal walls, and that leads to this herniation or this Zenkus diverticulum or the pharyngeal pouch being formed. So this pharyngeal laxity is also another theory which explains why it occurs more commonly in the old age, because it is in the old age where your muscles, they start getting weak and these pharyngeal laxity develops, which then leads to the Zenkus diverticulum or the outpouching or the pharyngeal pouch. So the main complication we have already discussed of this pharyngeal pouch is that it leads to carcinoma. So this is one of the main complications of leaving a Zenkus diverticulum or a pharyngeal pouch untreated. Now we move to the management of such a patient, and we will be done for our chapter for today. So management can be divided broadly into three different categories. First category is the conservative management. Second category is the endoscopic management. And finally, the third is the external management. So conservative management is usually done in asymptomatic cases where it is an accidental finding that has been picked up on different x-rays. Second is the endoscopic. So endoscopically you can do a lot. You can go for the diathermy, you can go for the laser, you can go for stapling. In this, what we do is that we insert Verda's diverticuloscope, which basically has a larger aperture than a normal scope, and that aperture, it opens up when you insert it into the esophagus. So its larger prong is inserted into the esophagus, but its shorter prong would be there it can enter into the pouch, and you can open it up and get an easy access for diathermy, laser, or the stapling procedure if you want to do during an endoscopy. One of the other names for this procedure is also called as Dolman's procedure. It is also ideal in elderly patient as it can be performed in local anesthesia as well. The external is the more complicated procedure in which you have to first pass the esophagoscope, you have to identify where to give an incision. You give a 3 centimeter horizontal incision. When you pass the light through the esophagoscope and you are able to see it outside that where the pouch is forming, before giving incision, you pack the pouch in the external incision. Packing enables the pouch to become more prominent, and it can easily be then inverted, and it can be sealed along its pouch neck, and then it can be inverted back. But it has to be supplemented by cricopharyngeal myotomy as well, so that the recurrence does not occur afterwards. In cricopharyngeal myotomy and different myotomies, we basically open up the space so that the food bolus can pass without resistance once you have completed this procedure. Hope you enjoyed this topic. If you prefer it in this way, do let me know, and we'll be covering many more ENT topics in much greater detail for those who are preparing for their part 2 and IMM exam, inshallah. Thank you for watching.